Asagi YOICHI is an interesting character and a very popular figure as he is the MC of bluelock. I'll be starting a new series where I analyze different characters and do an analysis on them. Asagi was a high school player who was in a game that could lead him to go to nationals. In the game to head into a tie, Asagi is one-on-one with the goalkeeper and then decides to pass to his teammate who misses the shot. Asagi is not okay with this result as his team was not good enough to get the nationals. Asagi looked up to the #1 striker in the world currently, Noah. He looked up to his playstyle and desired to be just like him. Asagi had a dream of becoming Japan's national striker, but he does not have high confidence in himself. Asagi deals with the guilt of passing up the ball instead of scoring himself. The changes of fate could have been different for him had he took the shot. Asagi was molded on his team that football is a sport played by 11 people. Even so, he wanted to win and go to nationals. Asagi then gets invited by bluelock to enter their program and he meets up with the forward from the team who beat him, KiiNGKhyy. Once entering bluelock, Asagi meets Ego Jinpachi. Ego states on finding the best striker out of 300 participants to win the World Cup. Asagi is completely confused by this. Ego's philosophy is that football is about scoring goals at the expense of your own teammates. Asagi does not understand this and it makes no sense to him. Asagi had never been told that before. He felt it was wrong, but still he knew inside him that it was possible to become striker on the world stage. The words of Ego resonated within Asagi. No one had ever told him anything of what Ego was saying. His words were changing the shape of Asagi's fate. And with that, Asagi goes running into bluelock first. Now in bluelock, Asagi is put into a game of tag. He gets hit and decides to go after the worst player after him, Igarashi. But then he decides to stop because he does not want to trample on others. He wants to change and become better, so to become the best, he must beat the best. Asagi then meets Bachara Maguru, who takes the ball from him and goes after the strongest guy there, Kira. Bachara passes the ball to Asagi as Asagi eliminates Kira from bluelock. This was the start of Asagi's ego shaping himself. After eliminating Kira, Asagi gained a new feeling of hype and intensity, something he had never experienced before. Trusting the dreams of others and living at your own expense. That was the essence of bluelock. He had finally gotten the thrill of victory. Asagi then meets Baro in his first game of Team Z vs Team X. Baro completely overtakes Asagi and scores. This is the first time Asagi has seen someone this skilled in bluelock now. Baro's Team X completely annihilating Asagi's team as Baro is able to make football from zero and assemble his team to center him as a scorer. Asagi tries to get one goal in but is getting defended by Baro. As Baro is stepping in, Asagi is thinking of what a striker would do. He visions different scenarios in his head but ultimately passes to KiiNGKhyy who scores. Baro tells Asagi that a striker who chokes in front of the goal does not have what it takes to be a striker. Asagi takes that to heart as he realizes just how hard bluelock is going to be. He does not know if he has what it takes to be a true striker after experiencing a striker like Baro. KiiNGKhyy then meets up with Asagi in the cafeteria and he thanks Asagi for the goal. KiiNGKhyy tells Asagi that he wants to become a football superhero. KiiNGKhyy will fight against the world and become a symbol for people to look up to. This was an important talk for Asagi because KiiNGKhyy had the resolve that Isagi currently lacked. This is why I think Asagi becomes a hero due to this beginning talk with KiiNGKhyy. Now Team Z is going up against Team Y and Asagi meets Nico. He finds out that Nico is the one who is secretly leading Team Y and plans to stop him. They both have the same power of spatial awareness within them, and this was another big step for Asagi. Asagi is able to defeat Nico because he knew that he would pass in the biggest moment. He then tells him that he is not fit to be a striker, similar to what Baro told him in the game before. Asagi throughout the series is always changing and adapting to the scenarios he is put in. Asagi goes for the goal against Team Y and declares himself as a striker who will score goals. Asagi then goes over to Nico and sees him crying on the ground. For Asagi, he knows that beating people in bluelock means crushing their dreams and ending their careers, but for some reason, it feels so good for him. He is now gaining the ego of a striker that bluelock aims to create. Even Asagi cannot believe he felt good about crushing Nico and his team. Asagi then meets Nagi in the cafeteria who mocks weaklings and Asagi goes against him. He vows to bring down Team V and change Nagi's perspective. Asagi is anticipating going against Team Z, but he knows he cannot win unless he changes and he needs a weapon that lets him score on his own but cannot figure it out. He then goes over to Team X training room and finds Baro. Baro shows Asagi by crushing him that he can also polish his skills to make crazy plays as well. In Team Y game, Asagi is starting to realize the potential of his eyes. He can go further into the future to allow him to win games. In going for the game-winning goal against Team Y, Asagi is unable to picture a goal where he can score against Nagi. But despite this, he has an unwillingness to lose and figures out a path that will allow him to score and win the game. Asagi needed a piece that allows him to complete his goal, something that denies anyone a chance to overtake his future. With this, Asagi learns direct shot and Team Z beats Team Y. That second selection had a huge impact on Asagi. He now had to advance forward alone without the help of his teammates. He's starting to gain the confidence that he can succeed in bluelock. Asagi gains the strength to be able to fight alone, without needing passes all the time by his teammates. Asagi is able to grasp the details of his shot and starts to find new sides to him. He then teams up with Bachira and Nagi. Asagi then meets Satoshi Rin and he is the #1 player in Blue Lock. Asagi knows just how strong Rin is, but his ego is telling him he wants to beat this guy. He cannot stand by and crush easier opponents, he decides to go all in. Asagi tries to control the field and stop Rin, but the whole time Rin has been moving in spots where he controls the whole field. Asagi was even amazed by the beauty of his shot. He then loses Bachira to Rin, and this disrupts Asagi even further in the second selection. Asagi realized how important losing Bachira was. He was helpless against the top 3 and could not do anything. They only scored because of Nagi and Bachira's talents. Nagi then grabs Asagi and tells him to get a grip. He is acting like a sore loser, like the world is over, and Nagi didn't join up with Asagi for him to become like this. Asagi acknowledges he is useless without Bachira and it frustrates him. He's trying to prove he can win by himself. Up until this point, Asagi has been relying on Chigiri, KiiNGKhyy, and Bachira for his passes and his playstyle. He cannot win by himself, but that is what the second selection is all about. Winning without a team, proving your skills by yourself, the key to breaking through the second selection and winning 1v1s. He then faces off against Baro and Naruhaya, and Asagi realizes just how mediocre he is. Him and Naruhaya cannot compare to the geniuses of Baro and Nagi, and the key to winning is the difference between them both. Naruhaya tries to copy Asagi's direct shot, but he cannot adapt it to it well enough to complete it. Asagi completely looks inside himself to find the power to become a striker on par with Nagi and Baro. Asagi then realizes his thinking and style of play has been the things holding him back. He needs to change his thought process and forget the way he's been playing up until now in order to win. The playstyle he was using before was a playstyle that works well when you have teammates, but now he needs a mindset of a striker that can score by himself. Asagi rewrites his own common sense, coming to terms of how his actions up until now have not been great. For the sake of winning, he destroys every single thought that led him up to this point, changing his ego on the field. Asagi is able to copy Naruhaya's blind spot weapon and defeat Baro in a 1v1, leading him to take Baro and form a team of 3 again. Asagi then is going up against Kunigami, Chigiri, and Ryo, and is trying to work with Baro, but he gives up on that ideal. He realizes that he cannot get a hold of Baro, and instead of trying to work with him, he will just devour him. Asagi knows that you cannot change others, and that's just not how the world works. He knows he must be selfish to become the best striker in the world. He must use everyone to his advantage and change himself. That's how you win. He completely uses Baro to his advantage and is able to come up with the win and take Chigiri. Asagi then looks for Bachira, looking to take him back. The rematch against Rin was a big sequence, and Asagi does devour Rin and forms a back heel shot, but ultimately loses due to the luck of the ball going towards Rin's way, and he then joins Rin's team. Asagi then goes against the world class players and they get smacked around, but Asagi sees just how fascinating the world class players are. He didn't even try that hard in the match and still was on a completely different level than the Blue Lock players. Fire lit inside of Asagi, and as he wants to go over to that world as well. He has his eyes set on what a top player looks like, and he knows he has a lot of work to do in order to join them. The second selection is over, and now Asagi is shocked that Kunigami is not with Ryo. He then meets Chito and cannot believe he lost. I think this changes Asagi because the person he knew to be the hero has now been eliminated at the time. I feel Asagi really carries on that hero sentiment that Kunigami gave him early on in the series. Asagi didn't have a resolve until he talked to Kunigami, and now that he was defeated, he carries on that sentiment, as well as being a hero that people look up to. Now in the third selection, Asagi has made himself useful to Chito and Rin, but his play is still not good enough to become a striker worthy enough to make the top 11. Hiyori then tells him to move in reverse this time and act first then think. This allows Asagi to enter flow state and defeat both Rin and Chito and take the goal for himself. Asagi learns trance from that moment. He realized he needed to move at a high speed by reflex in order to catch up to Rin and Chito. Asagi is then selected as the last member to form the roster who will take on the under 20 team. Asagi is now at center stage on the field getting ready to play the under 20 team. He thinks to himself of how he was able to come a long way to Blue Lock and be able to play on a field like this. He really has come a long way since the start of the series. Him in the beginning could never imagine to be playing on a stage like this. Even so, he still knows he needs to focus on himself and become useful in this fight to win. Asagi is the key to awakening Rin. He's able to respond to Rin's actions accordingly in order to help make others score goals and get themselves involved. Asagi knows to not play nice and he realizes the distorted relationship he has with Rin. They both react to each other and have to steal goals and devour each other in order to win. Blue Lock is now losing due to Chito's super goal, and Asagi is asking Ego for a plan to stop them, and Ego has already decided fate that Blue Lock was a success. Asagi is shocked to see Ego giving up this easily and does not care about the future of Japan or the players. Right now he speaks for everyone on Blue Lock, and that is that they want to win this game. Losing here is the same as dying to them, and they will not give in that easily to losing. He then tells Ego to make them win because this is the Ego that he taught them, to win no matter what. Ego then sends in Baro. Rin and Asagi are noticing each other commanding the field and are now seeing the use of each other, that they have to devour it in order to score the next goal and win the game. The under 20 match comes down to a close wire as Rin is able to overtake Sae, and then only one person was able to respond to the uncertainty of Rin's play, and that was Asagi. He then goes to the spot where luck could decide where the ball would lead to, and he scores the goal. This is the start of how Asagi became the hero of Blue Lock. Toshi Sae even gives props to Asagi, and that Japan can still change with an egoist like him. Asagi then states his goal to win the World Cup, and he declares that he will be the one to lead them to victory. This has now put Asagi's face on the map. The world now knows of Blue Lock's hero. Asagi's goal has made Blue Lock known to the world. Asagi has a 2-week break outside of Blue Lock and is greeted by a little kid who is a fan of Asagi. Asagi has changed, and his goal has started to change the world of Japan as they once knew it. Asagi meets up with his old teammate Tada, who was on his high school team when they lost to go to the Nationals. Tada was the one who Asagi passed to, who eventually missed the goal that they needed. Tada brings up the motto, one for all and all for one, and Asagi can seem to remember that phrase, but now it means nothing to him due to Blue Lock. Tada then says that Asagi picked up an excuse me lucky goal that came from sloppy seconds. Asagi is shocked to hear this. He knows that no one knows how he felt in Blue Lock except the people who were there in Blue Lock. His goal came from more than just luck. It was due to battling out the best players in Blue Lock to even make the top 11, and then following Rin's play to get to that spot. It was all a sequence of events that unfolded in Asagi's play, but he understands where Tada is coming from. From the outside, it probably does look like that was a lucky goal. Asagi realizes that he has been stained by Blue Lock. He is now a warrior that keeps on fighting. He cannot fight by the world and must instead change the world by his own hands. This is the idealist of a hero. Make people like Tada see the era of Japanese football from his play in Blue Lock. He can only do that by continuing to get better and score more goals. Asagi wants to live life as he wants. That's what being an egoist means. Take life as you want and score goals as you want, just like a striker. Blue Lock has changed him now to have this mindset and ideal. He cannot go back into a normal life where people choose the life or role for him. On an ordinary team, he would have no choice but to accept this role, but now he has the power to decide his fate and choose how he wants to live. He is not taking any orders from anyone and wants to become the best. He knows he has become something else now. He thinks back of what he left behind in order to accomplish his fate. He thinks back of the first moment of Blue Lock when he defeats Kira to enter Blue Lock. He then thinks back of Naruhaya's mindset, allowing him to change his common sense and allow him to evolve. And then he thinks of Kunigami, who got eliminated, and how he wasn't with him in the second selection. These are all moments that have defined Asagi for who he is. He cannot get this far without these moments, and he knows he must keep going in order to have more moments. He learned the excitement of victory and the pleasure of scoring goals. He realizes his true happiness is changing the world with his own hands, making his own decisions that are responding to him and that no one else can take. He loves the feeling of a battlefield like Blue Lock and knows if he continues on this path, he can become the best in the world. He thinks of Ego and how he has been there along the way, and he wants to live in Blue Lock and continue the fight no matter what. Asagi meets Rin again for stage 2 of Blue Lock, and Rin calls him a wannabe hero. Asagi then calls him a wannabe villain. We have the hero and the villain, two sides of people going back and forth against each other. Now we have Asagi needing to pick an environment to choose. Bachira tells Asagi to trust his instinct and to have evolved by the next time they meet if they do not pick the same country. Asagi and Bachira have come a long way as their friendship was very significant, but now Asagi is able to fight on his own without Bachira and chooses Germany as his landing spot. He knows that Germany is going to make his blood boil the most because the world's best striker Noel Noah is over there. Asagi then meets his idol Noel Noah in front of him. Noel Noah is Asagi's hero, and to see him in front of him is unreal. Asagi now gets to train under Noel Noah and is hyped for the opportunity opening in front of him. The path to becoming the best striker in the world is opening before him. Asagi then meets Kunigami again and welcomes him back, but notices Kunigami has changed. Regardless, Asagi has to fight and stays focused. Asagi then meets KiiNGKhyy. KiiNGKhyy looks down upon Asagi and tells him to not let him down as he is the new hero of Blue Lock. He wants Asagi to become a proper obstacle, and Asagi accepts his challenge. Asagi then vows to rise up and take down KiiNGKhyy from the top. Asagi then meets up with Noel Noah to increase his ranking. He wants to figure out a way to defeat KiiNGKhyy. Asagi is unable to visualize an ideal self that can take down Noel Noah. He does not know exactly what can be done to achieve that goal, and Noel Noah tells him he needs logic and rationality to be able to work on himself daily to becoming the best in the world. Asagi did not fully understand what he had meant, but he does know that it would take a lot if he wants to catch up to becoming the best striker under Noel Noah. Asagi sees KiiNGKhyy as his ideal self who moves with such efficiency. He recognizes him as a genius and starts to notice the actual talent of KiiNGKhyy and just how good he is. Asagi then realizes that the hyper-rationality of the team is from KiiNGKhyy himself. They have absolute faith in KiiNGKhyy because of his KiiNGKhyy impact. With this shot, there's no inefficiency that would be created in the team. Asagi sees KiiNGKhyy just as the embodiment of bluelock's ideals, a striker who can create from 0 to 1. Noah then calls Asagi to join the match for Moonchan vs Barca. The world wants to see bluelock's hero, and it is rightly so that they would want to see the hero who scored the game-winning goal. Asagi now looks to prove his existence in this game and hit the world stage for the first time. Asagi is still shocked to be playing on the same side as his idol that he has been watching since he was a kid. Asagi tries to help Noah against Levinho, but it backfires and Levinho easily gets past him. There was no room for him in the place of superstars. He chose to get into a space that was not going to help at all. Asagi knows that he cannot just admire the superstars if he wants to catch up to them. He turns that admiration into a goal, and he cannot be easily devoured. He decides to try to devour the superstar Noah. Right now, Asagi is unable to read a step forward and find a better position than Noah in order to devour him. You see, Asagi is unable to picture play better than what Noah can do. It makes sense considering that he's the best striker in the world. How can you envision a play better than the best man on the planet? It will not be easy. Noah is a superstar in his own right and does not have many flaws. Asagi notices all the abilities of Noah and he cannot fathom the spot of going against him right now. Asagi is trying to score a goal, but it's too far from his range. Also the fact that no one on Munich is passing him the ball as well. Asagi is constantly trying to prove his existence in every game. Only one goal is left and he wants to be the one to score. Asagi knows that he cannot score a goal on his own right now, so instead he decides to look for a result that would allow him and KiiNGKhyy success. He decides to pass the ball to KiiNGKhyy for him to score. Asagi is using this as both interests collided, but KiiNGKhyy tells Asagi that he has fallen this low as a striker. KiiNGKhyy was there from the beginning and has seen Asagi's improvement, but for him to pass now really did make no sense. He just wanted to spit KiiNGKhyy and he could not do anything else, but I still think Asagi just needed to do something to prove his existence on the team, even if it was for an assist. Asagi promises to catch up to Batra on the same stage as a striker. Asagi talks to KiiNGKhyy, who consults Asagi about passing instead of trying to score. Asagi understands just how powerless he is and is working on figuring something out where he can score. Asagi tells KiiNGKhyy he's blind to reality if he thinks just talking will get him into the regulars. Yuri asks if everyone was side of Asagi, and the room goes quiet. Not everyone is convinced on following Asagi as the king, and I don't blame them. They're all strikers looking to make their own noise. Not everyone wants to be a help to Asagi like Kurna and Hiyori. The Neo Egos League is bringing back the same blue lock dynamic like before. Anyone can be friend or foe just like before, and it's a struggle for existence between pros. Everyone is starting to envy Asagi as he was the one who scored the game-winning goal in its under 20 match, so he got the most credit, and then he was put into the game before anyone else even though his power rankings were low. They all want to be in the same spot as Asagi, so they would try to find flaws in his gameplay to downplay his game. Asagi continues to walk the path that everyone strives to look forward to. Asagi cannot do anything in that match and he needs to work on himself and still figure out what he is lacking. Asagi knows he cannot picture an ideal playstyle that could compare to Noah, so he then decides to go to the next best thing, KiiNGKhyy. He then decides he will study KiiNGKhyy in order to get closer to Noah and survive in this new era of Blue Lock. Asagi now starts the England game, deciding to analyze KiiNGKhyy and understand and be able to evolve in this game. Asagi notices how much Ryo has improved since last meeting him. He then sees the upgrade of Shigiri and just how well he's improved as well. Asagi then starts his next move with Kurna. He now has an ally on his side this time compared to the last game where no one was on his side. Kurna decides to back him up and is a great companion to Asagi. Asagi and Kurna's planet hotline make for a good duo as Kurna is like a heavenly body orbiting around him. Asagi is analyzing KiiNGKhyy again and studying his thought patterns from his viewpoint. He notices that KiiNGKhyy is not looking at the ball at all and is instead grasping the whole field in front of him. Asagi is able to notice this and see exactly what KiiNGKhyy is doing. KiiNGKhyy is able to watch the whole field from a higher view than normal. Asagi relates to the vision and how you can visualize every image and destroy them. It is a higher level of sight way different than your normal vision. He's watching at a 4-dimensional vision, a godlike vision that stands above that of everyone else. This skill is called metavision. Asagi is finally able to figure out all of the skills KiiNGKhyy is using to be able to score goals at will. He understands it perfectly now, he just needed a way to use it. Asagi thinks back to the times he used metavision unconsciously before. It was moments where his sight completely transcended everyone else on the field and he was unstoppable. He was able to find the best spots to steal goals from others. Now Asagi's question is if KiiNGKhyy is able to keep up that level of pace for a whole 90 minutes of football. If you could keep that up for that long, then it could be like becoming a god. With the images, Asagi is able to see now how he has the hope to defeat anyone. He now sees the vision of a god and wants to put his new theory to the test. He thinks KiiNGKhyy was finding a way to crush him and he cannot wait to test this out. Asagi now heads back into play and is now focusing on the entire field. He needs to be able to process everything inside of his head and watch every single person's movement and which steps they will take next. Now this is very tiring on your brain, and yes, it would be hard for the current Asagi to be able to keep up with this type of pace for 90 minutes. Asagi feels now as if he is granted super senses now due to the amount of information flowing inside of his brain. He really has been talented with his eyes, and now Metavision has taken him to a whole new dimension. Asagi is able to see everyone's movements and even predict what is going to happen before it happens. He stops Nagi because of this and is playing it at a completely different level now. Asagi never knew this type of scenery existed. He really has changed to a point of becoming a game master. He now has the full-on confidence of playing up to par with the world's best and seeing everything on the field. He is still that kid that is having fun playing football. He finds enjoyment every time in himself and continues to move forward to the path of the world's best. Asagi is now at a different style of play, going right through the middle and catching any distortions that get in the way. Asagi can now process information more than anyone else and can predict the future with his play. He even sees himself as just data and is looking down at someone from a higher dimension. His brain is constantly giving him information, and he realizes just how amazing he is. Right when Asagi had gotten past the whole defense and is ready to score a goal, KiiNGKhyy comes in and breaks his rhythm. Because of this, KiiNGKhyy steals his goal. He knows he would have scored right there, but once again, KiiNGKhyy and KiiNGKhyy are in his way. Asagi has a lot to deal with as his own teammates are against him, as well as his opponents. It is one of the biggest challenges that any Blue Lock player has to go through. He's completely frustrated and vows to destroy KiiNGKhyy no matter what. Noah even talks about how Asagi cannot let this break him. He has found a ticket that can lead him directly to him. This path of evolution can lead him to the world number 1, but he cannot compromise himself. Nagi is now attacking Asagi and going after him. Nagi did 4 consecutive feints to get past Asagi, and even he cannot stop that goal with Metavision. Asagi is completely frustrated as he was able to stop Nagi the whole game, but could not stop him there because of Ryo interfering and giving him more creativity. Asagi realizes that Nagi's goal was only due to wanting to beat him, and now he fully understands it. He tells Ryo and Nagi that there won't be any more miracles for those two. Asagi goes running into the goalpost to stop Chris Prince's ridiculous shot and is able to beat it. He could read at which point was the most vulnerable and decided to gamble and defend that spot. With this, he has now devoured the world's number 2. Now it is Asagi's turn to join back in for the fun, as screaming fans all over the world are witnessing how Asagi was able to stop the second best striker in the world. Once again, Asagi is able to take the spotlight at key moments in the game and drastically change the tide of the game. Asagi is using the chaos of the game with both master strikers entering to find a way to score a goal. Just as he finds the opportunity, YOICHI shuts him down. Asagi cannot catch a break as it feels like everyone is against him. Asagi, who is the current hero, is clashing with YOICHI, who is the deluded hero of Blue Lock. YOICHI says that Asagi and KiiNGKhyy are the same person, and Asagi cannot believe he just said that. They both have fantasies of becoming the hero and winning the game with their goals. YOICHI's blind illusions is just a part of his ego, and so is Asagi's. Ego states that success comes from when your fantasy intersects with someone else's. Asagi then realizes that everyone in the field is their own protagonist. He sees why YOICHI has his own deluded fantasy. The use of protagonism can be related to many different ways. With this, Asagi learns egocentrism. Egocentrism allows you to reach maximum performance and reach flow state. There are countless stories of protagonists orbiting the earth. He recognizes that his thinking was too shallow. He was subconsciously putting YOICHI as a side character even though he's a protagonist in his own way. Asagi has the ball again and has no scoring options right now. He can see the future, but he cannot see a path that leads him to scoring. He then goes through a self-analyzation as he realizes that his physical abilities cannot keep up with using Metavision at full power. Metavision is already a greater feat, and to use it for as long as Asagi has in this game was already a blessing. His stamina is starting to get to him, and he cannot keep his performance up for longer. All he thinks about right now is wanting to practice to get even better at his skills. Right when everything seemed like it was going wrong, Noah decides to link up with Asagi. Because of this, Asagi's options increase exponentially, and now his wide range of field is here. Asagi now envisions a future where he scores a goal, devours Noah, and destroys KiiNGKhyy. Asagi is on a completely different level and even deceives KiiNGKhyy. He even is able to angle break Chigiri and easily cruise right by him. The last piece was now YOICHI, and he needed one last pawn, and YOICHI came at the perfect time. Asagi is now able to use Noah as a pawn and is getting ready to reach the climax of the game. Near the turning point now, once again KiiNGKhyy has come to destroy Asagi's plan and not allow him to score. Asagi is ready to become the protagonist of the story again and take his fantasy to the next world, but he cannot do that right now, so instead he passes the ball to YOICHI. But in doing this, YOICHI's ideals die with his goal. Asagi is showing YOICHI and everyone else in Blue Lock that you can score goals and get better by joining his side. He is the king of the field, showcasing his pawns around. Asagi knows that what will lead him to flow is to dethrone KiiNGKhyy, and now he gets back at KiiNGKhyy, calling him the clown of his story and grabbing him just like KiiNGKhyy did when they first met. Asagi managed to showcase to the world that he was by far the best player in the pitch. He's already thinking ahead of what will come next. Asagi now has his full conviction of beating Kaiser with goals, and he's working non-stop to do that. People are comparing Asagi to Modric and want him to be a midfielder, but he will not take that style. Granted, his play up until now has been more like a midfielder, but he sets the record straight saying that he will become a striker. He wants to win by scoring goals. That is the ego that was carved up until now. Asagi is currently training his body so that he can extend the time of using metavision and to work on a shot that can beat Kaiser. Asagi is called a game master, and even he hadn't realized just how deep in he was. He's ascending to the next level, and he is amazed at the level of his growth he has gotten to in this time. Asagi's not satisfied until he can come up with a way to defeat Kaiser 100%. He goes to KiiNGKhyy to figure out a way that will crush Kaiser and win with his goals this time. Kaiser and Asagi are the two kings of Munchen, and whoever can beat Uber's game plan will become the team's king. Asagi had grown a lot over the series, and his evolution will definitely be revisited many times. Seeing all of the teammates and opponents he has gone through in order to gain this title as hero is an understatement. The sheer will and determination he carries to become the best is what makes his character so special. He has the potential to become the best in the world, and there are many people rooting for him. I'm excited to see just how much he will grow, and if he can carry his statement of declaring that he will lead Japan to win the World Cup. This is only a taste I feel of Asagi, and I'm ready for what comes next. This is the hero of bluelock, Asagi YOICHI. Well, I thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe for more, and I'll be back in the next one. Peace.